Do you believe in second chances? This is the IssuesWatch podcast. Hello, and welcome to the IssuesWatch podcast. I'm Matt Charne, your host for this week's accounting and auditing episode. I'm an audit director at Clifton Larson Allen. And joining me today, as always, is Marissa Flood, Assurance Senior at CLA. Welcome back, Marissa.
I didn't lock the door.
What do you mean?
I'm back.
Oh.
Move over, scoot over.
All right.
Hi, I'm Brad Muniz. I'm back today, too.
And crashing again is Brad Muniz. Welcome back, Brad.
What are we talking about? Stablecoin. Let's go. No?
No.
Oh.
This episode qualifies for Nano CPE credit. If you're interested in earning CPE credit for this episode, hit the pause button now and head over to njcpa.org/nano to find out how. A quick disclaimer, the views and statements expressed herein are our own and not necessarily those of NJCPA or CLA. All right, another surprise. Brad is back.
Love it. Missed you guys. Really?
I know. It's been a minute.
Honestly, haven't they been doing a great job? Love it. I'm so happy how you guys took over, doing an excellent job. Thank you.
You're going to make us blush. Stop.
Yeah, I dislike every episode, though, because I just want to keep the ratings down.
Fair enough.
Like all their episodes, you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, today, unfortunately, is not about stablecoins today. Today is about QMS again.
Oh,
So
okay.
I bring up second chances because the new development is a second practice aid that the AICPA has put out for the QMS standard. Now, I thought this was pretty interesting because I think QMS is effective next year. So we're talking years after if they do it the same way that the PCOB does. December 15th, 2025.
Right.
I'm sorry, that's the way the AICPA does it as well, and the FASB. So we're really coming down to the wire here when all these standards are going to be ready to go. And this practice aid, I think, was made because, now correct me if I'm wrong, but the AICPA may have been seeing maybe some sluggishness or a lot of firms not necessarily going up to speed with this stuff, as particularly maybe some sole practitioners and some smaller firms. And one of the bigger pieces that this new practice aid points out is the scalability of all this. And I know the bigger firms, this has been on the radar for a while for everybody, but right. I know bigger firms, much like our own, the Big Four, places like that, have been, kind of sounding the alarm for this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of those pieces are in place, and they're going to pretty much been rolled out at this point, and will take effect, if they haven't already, certainly by January.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Just interrupt. The way I was reading it was it seemed like the second practice aid is being developed to help firms monitor it. So, like, for us, coming from a larger firm, we do have those things in place, but I think that this has been going to be really helpful for the sole practitioner.
Yeah. So if anyone had the chance to look into the practice aid, and I encourage you to do so, especially if you're still working on getting the QMS updates in place, there is a section about the scalability, which reminded me of SAS 145 and all those planning aspects and things that came into it, saying if you're not necessarily working with a giant client who has all sorts of internal control infrastructure in place, this is a very similar take on that, and saying if you're not a giant firm and you don't have all these quality management things in place, maybe you're a sole practitioner, maybe you're one of 2 or 3 partners, and you're doing all of the prep work, all of the review, all of the outreach, all of the client billing and things like that. There is going to be some leeway in here, not necessarily to ignore the standards, but to scale it to your size for what makes sense for you.
What I've seen with this, I mean, we've been talking about this. I think the QMS came out probably around 2019, 2020, and I'm not trying to be the old guy who just likes to talk about history, but it came out then, and we started talking about it. I mean, I forgot the woman's name. Avaha. She actually spoke on here one time, and I remember her speaking. She talked about it then. She's like, people got to get up on this.
Right.
And that was 2019, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we were talking with CLA, when we were Sober Company talking with CLA, and I said to them, what are you guys doing? And this was 2022. And they said, okay, yeah, we're following the international standards. We're going to get that in place first because that's what's going to be effective first.
Right.
And then this is going to follow in tandem with that. And that's what they did. So ours is in effect now. We have 2 quality people that are assigned specifically to it. So we can put it in effect this year and then test it next year, in essence.
Right.
Now, that's all well and good when we are our size firm. to your comment, Marissa, there's a lot of smaller firms. And the way I said it last year at one of the sessions, I said, well, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go through busy season. Then you're going to want to be on vacation, okay? And then you're going to, all of a sudden, September's coming around, and you're going to have to deal with all the September and October final deadlines.
Yep.
And then comes November, but you got to start planning for the tax season in November. So
Yep.
when are you going to do this?
Yeah.
And that's what always happens at AICPA season. I'm a little surprised the AICPA finally came out with it, but maybe they said, if we put it out early, they're still not going to do it.
Right.
So let's put it out towards the end and say, this is your last chance. This is your second and last chance.
Right.
This is the warning call.
That's it. And to your comment, it is towards the smaller firms, because they're the ones who's going to struggle with this more. We have more resources.
Right.
Even when we were Sobel and Company, we definitely dedicated more resources to it. I'm not picking on smaller firms. They're big firms that have quality issues, but we know the smaller firms have less resources.
Yeah, that's all
Right.
it comes down to. I mean, am I specifically the one looking into this? No, I'm not. But if you're doing what I'm doing and have to look into this, and you could potentially miss something. So I think this is great for them. I really do.
Marissa, I never even thought about it till just now. Just imagine this: if you were a smaller firm with less resources, and they're doing some EBP audits like you're doing, they're wrapping up some tax returns like you're doing, and they've got to assess their hiring practices. They have to assess their CPE. They have to assess their client acceptance process. With those bullets on there.
I was going to get to the provisions of this, but please continue.
You see these don't script these, and that's why they don't want me here anymore. But Marissa, imagine you, because you do a lot of EBP audits, you're doing tech audits stuff now. Add on to that some tax stuff. Add on to that personnel issues. Oh, and also get ready for this.
It's tough.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, there's 8 big provisions that are going into this. I mean, risk assessment, governance and leadership is part of this. Ethics is part of this, which always, just a side note, always confuses me. So I don't understand how they keep changing ethics. I thought if it's the right thing to do, you do it, and if not, you don't do it. But okay, ethics. Acceptance of client relationships and engagements is something that will have to be looked at as well. I thought that was interesting. Engagement performance, resources, like you said, Brad. Information communication, making sure that everything within your firm, regardless of size, is being communicated properly. It's great if you put the policy in place. Nobody's following it. You're going to end up in the same boat as if it was never implemented. And then monitoring. You mentioned that next year CLA will be testing to make sure everything that we put in place is working and makes sense, and that it's meeting all those standards that have been put out. These are things that every firm is going to have to look at. And just like you said, it's a lot. It's a lot to do.
A lot.
Absolutely. So I hope that this practice aid is helpful. I think it is a good idea that they put it out. I think if people do dedicate the time to using it, hopefully September is the month where we see a lot of activity kind of pop up through it. Hopefully firms are talking to each other and kind of organizing how they can kind of help each other and maybe standardize this thing a little bit. But
That's a great comment. I just thought, and because Frank Boudelet, who I do presentations with, not trying to bring up his name, but I'll drop his name anytime, but and I'm Marissa's sick of it. He wanted to actually pull together a session of firms to come to the society. June Toth has done a ton of presentations on this. It's not a presentation. You get these checklists. You go through these checklists beforehand and come in and let's work with them together to help you document it. If you go through peer review and you don't have any of this done, this is Brad's speculation. I think you're going to get a pass with deficiency, if not fail. AICPA is not going to look too kindly, since we started talking about this in 2019 and 2020. AICPA is not going to look too kindly on you not being ready for this at all. If you gave an honest effort at it, now an honest effort isn't, SQUASH, used to be called SQUASH, System of Quality Control Standards. When we would go out to firms like, where's your documentation for SQUASH 8, whatever, and they would literally take the guide, the forms that we used to use, the checklists, and they would write their name on the top and hand us the blank checklist with just their name written on the top.
oh boy.
Yeah, that's not a real effort. Okay, but if you went through a process and tried, at least maybe you could work your way to say it is an isolated deficiency in some way.
Right.
That's Brad's speculation. So,
Yeah. I mean, you say that's your speculation, but I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's no person at the AICPA who's going to knock on your door and say, hey, it's QMS due date, did you submit it?
Right.
That's never going to happen. But the next time your peer review date rolls around, it's the first thing that's going to be in the checklist, I assume.
Absolutely.
Before they even pick any jobs, they're going to say, how does your client engagement process work? How's your resource processing work? How are you making sure that people are performing things the right way? How's their review process work? All these things, the risk assessment that go into QMS. I'm not a peer reviewer, but if I was one, this is the first thing I would bring up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The difficulty,
So-
I'm going to see what I'll say real quick about peer
Sure.
reviews. There's two types of peer reviews, a system review and an engagement review. System review is when you do audits and they come in and look at your system, quality management system. An engagement review is when you're only doing comps and reviews. And we had somebody when we were teaching an ethics session say, does this relate to me if I'm only doing comps? Yes, SARS 26 came out and said we're connecting the quality management standards to the SARS. But how, when we go to peer reviews, are we going to ask about their quality management standards if we're only doing an engagement review? We're only looking at engagements. So it's going to be all unknown to everybody.
Right.
And if you sit here thinking, I'm just going to try and skate, it's not going to be good because somebody's going to be asking you for it maybe when they shouldn't. It's just get ready.
Right. To your point, even if you're not looking at the system in general, but you're doing an engagement review, if you're noticing problems in the engagement, maybe it's in review notes, maybe it's in things that didn't get addressed, maybe it's in mistakes that are in the statements themselves. These things happen, but the same way that we would ask a question to our client when we find a mistake, well, hey, how did this happen? There has to be some kind of internal control that failed.
A system issue.
Yeah.
We
So
got to get
if-
him to be a peer reviewer. Jim, get him to do peer reviews.
Oh boy, I have enough work to do as it is. All right. Well, we give you a lot of grief, Brad, but thank you for coming back. It's great to have you.
I love being here, and you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. In closing, I encourage you all to register for the NJCPA's annual Accounting and Auditing Conference on October 22nd. Topics include sampling, a CECL update, prepping for peer review, quality management standards, and I'll be presenting a session on internal controls. Register at njcpa.org/conferences. And be sure to join the Society's Accounting and Auditing Standards Interest Group. Sign up for free at njcpa.org/groups. Thank you for watching or listening.